What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Deck Talk Podcast. And before we get going, I know people's going to ask, where's Pappy? Pappy is having some computer issues, and so he's going to be getting on as soon as possible, and then we're going to merge him back into us. But I do want to say since he is not here, I do not want myself. I don't want to do the salute to valor. We're going to let Pappy do that. But if you are a veteran or actively serving in the military, to reach out to Pappy if you want to. We'd love to honor you. And if you can email him at joshvaughn@decktalkpodcast.com and get in touch with him, and he will get your information, and we will honor you as our salute to valor. So, but with that being said, let's take care of some business. Ready to hook into some serious bass? Grab Bruiser baits, the tournament-proven soft plastics and hard baits that put fish in the boat every time. Bruiser baits, fish the best. Get yours now at bruiserbaits.com. Discount code DECKTALK10. And but I want to introduce our guest for tonight. Is a good friend of ours, and he's been very kind to us over the past 5 or 6 years that I have known him. And we got Jose Cinco. Most people may recognize him if they go to the Classic or Red Crest or iCast or something like that. He's always hanging around the KastKing booth. And so, man, thank you for coming on. And because I know we're an hour ahead of you, and so it is close to going home time. So,
it's all good, man. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. Absolutely,
man. It's an honor, and I tell you this every time. It is an honor to have you come on. But I want to ask you the first question that I was wanting to ask. For the people who may not know you yet, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you kind of got into KastKing.
Oh, wow. All right. So it was about 2018, 2017, and I was actually in the process of retiring out of the Army. So what's that process kind of start for those that know that do like a medical retirement? It's a long admin process. So we had moved back to Oklahoma. I was going to be retiring here in Oklahoma, and my kids actually started fishing a lot. You know, if you live out in the southern states, southeast states, there's tons of places to go fishing, right? So we're super blessed with that. And my kids were going fishing a lot, and they said, "Dad, why don't you come out and go fishing with us?" And then my oldest said, "Hey, Dad, why don't you start an Instagram? That'd be cool." I actually said, "Son, that sounds horrible. That doesn't sound like something I want to do." But I went ahead and did it. I did it. And that's back when if you had 1,000 followers, man, you were kind of big dogging.
Big. Yeah. Yeah.
So I had seen KastKing. So obviously I needed to get more fishing stuff because I was getting back into fishing. And since I was just getting, I guess, back into it big time, I didn't want to go out and spend tons of money. So I saw Amazon, and I was like, man, it's $30, whatever. It breaks. It works. And this was the Sharky 2. That's an old reel.
Oh yeah.
So I got it, started using it, and I was like, man, this is working out great. I saw that they had fishing line, a little bit of everything at that time. I reached out. I said, hey, here, my name's Jose. I'm retired Army. I'm in got a decent, 1,000. I had like 1,100 followers or something like that. And then they said, yeah, what? We'd love to give you a shot as a brand ambassador. So I started off just as a brand ambassador, or, as a lot of people know, as a promotional staff, right? That's what's usually after about a year or so, they said, hey, we've got this huge pro staff or brand ambassador staff that's growing. You have a decent amount of leadership experience. Why would you help us manage it? All right. Started doing
Heck yeah.
that. So 2019, I stepped away from my federal job. I just had a lot of issues physically, mentally, spiritually. Just I had a lot of soul searching to do, and
Right.
around that time, I stepped away from that job, and they gave me more stuff to do. 2021, they were like, "Hey, are you still working?" I was like, "No, I'm fully retired. Like I'm not doing nothing." And they said, "Absolutely not. You're coming to work for us full time." So that's when I got on as the community brand manager. And then last year, I was the US content marketing manager. And then towards the beginning of this year, I took a different position with KastKing as now relationship management. So head of brand relations pretty much for the company.
Heck yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and it's amazing how the good Lord puts people in your path and opens
Mm-hmm.
doors for you. And who would have ever thought when your kiddos said, "Hey, let's get into fishing and start an Instagram," where that would have led you? I mean, you would not have thought that this is where you would have been uh, years down the road. That this would have been where it was at.
No, not at all. A lot of people say, "Oh, was this a goal, a dream?" I'm like, no, 100% no. And it wasn't. I just didn't even consider it an option. It wasn't that I didn't think it was possible. It was just I didn't even consider it an option. But like
Right.
you said, you make plans and God laughs. He's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what you think you're gonna do."
Yeah.
He's like,
You
"How about
think?
you? You think you're gonna do that?" So
Yeah.
yeah, super blessed to be in the position that I'm in there, where I get to, at the end of the day, even when I'm stressed out, it's still fishing, right?
It is. And it's crazy because you've also been fortunate enough to be able to like fish in, I mean, some very pretty cool places. And it and you've been able to record that process, and then and to be able to share that, and as well as you're promoting, like people are seeing you going out there with the KastKing stuff. I mean, there's been videos. Yeah, you've got the top of the line KastKing stuff that you go out with, but you also make videos and stuff of like, I don't, how do I say this?
Entry level
It's
stuff.
correct. I didn't want to say cheap because then people think that it's not as good product, because KastKing stuff, I mean, I have not put any kind of KastKing stuff in my hands that has not been top quality stuff. And that's from the entry level to your high dollar reels and rods and stuff like that. And it's to me, it just kind of, it blows my mind that KastKing is able to make that high quality for a reasonable price for the entry people, and they're getting, by far, in my opinion, by far the best product that they can get, bang for buck. And I'm over here thinking like, KastKing's doing this. How come like the other companies are not trying to do that? Are they just trying to, and it's all about trying to make that money? Because, and I've talked to you before, and correct me if I'm wrong, like KastKing, they want to have that entry level price to where it's easy for people to get into. They want that quality because then they know as soon as they put that in their hands, they're going to come back. If something was to happen, they shut a rod locker into the and break the rod. That, well, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to KastKing because this rod has been phenomenal for me. Or, well, I want to get a swim bait rod and reel. Well, I'm going to go to KastKing. Is that their purpose of it? Is because to get that returning customer for that?
So absolutely, a majority of our customers are return customers. But the one thing that we really like to do is that you're going to get a quality piece of equipment,
Right.
regardless of your budget. Sometimes we get a bad look because people are comparing a $30 reel to a $200 reel. You know, like
Right.
if someone's looking at I know you talked about me using the entry level stuff. So like our Brutus, it's like a $30 reel. You know,
Right.
I'm walking around using a $50 combo, and I'm catching hogs to the point to
Yeah.
where KastKing actually told me stop using this stuff because we need the content for our higher end gear. And you're out there like a goofball catching this big stuff. Like that's not the content we need right now. But it says, you know, sometimes when people will look at the Brutus and they're like, well, you know, why don't you just buy a Corrado? I'm like, yeah, but a guy that has a $200 budget isn't going to be looking at a $30 reel. So that's not you
No.
can't compare those two. So yeah,
No.
regardless of you have 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, all the way to $300 plus, whatever your budget is, we have a fishing solution for you. So regardless of that, like if you only got $40 and you want to get on the water, then yeah, we have something for you.
Exactly. And that's one thing that, and I think I've told you this, like the first bait caster that I learned how to use a bait caster was a KastKing. I wanted to, I was wanting a frog rod, and so I got a frog rod and a reel, and this was, I mean, back when KastKing just started out, and it was kind of like what you were saying. I seen it online, and I was like, all right, well, I mean, if I don't like it, because like my dad, he did not like bait casters at all, and still don't care too much for them.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
he's like, all that you do is just bird nest. You're picking out birds' nests all day long, and so I never grew up fishing a bait caster, and
I
so
hear you.
I was like, I'll go and I'll spend $40 for a reel and whatever. I think I spent maybe $100 or something like that, $150. It wasn't, I mean, it was very reasonable to get the rod and reel, and they shipped it to me. And I was like, all right, let's give this a shot. And I was surprised, even back then, that once I got it set up, and I had to watch YouTube videos of how to set up a bait caster and stuff. And once I had it set up, I was able to bomb cast and be able to do everything. And I was not bird's nesting. And so then I was like, all right, let's go on. So then the next time when I got to where I wanted to get another reel, I got another one. And then progressively, I mean, as in which I think every angler does, as they kind of age into the bait casting role, that they want to upgrade their reel and stuff like that. So they want to kind of move up. So I done that, and I mean, and KastKing has blown my mind with some of the stuff that they've been able to do, and now you can go out and you can fish. I don't care if you're fishing 10, 12 hours, and their reels are so light. You don't even feel like you even holding the reel at times when with it, how light they are.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we've advanced so much as a company. And sometimes people will say, well, you forgot about your budget minded, people that started with that. And it's like, oh, 100% not. I mean, look at the Red Crest. Jacob Wheeler won Red Crest with a $99 KastKing reel in his hand.
Yeah.
Like, you want to talk about someone that could fish anything, go to any company, use any reel in the world. When he's got 7 to 8 KastKing icons on his deck, and that's what he won $300,000 with, go tell him that, our affordable stuff still isn't good. So yeah. And just like you said, so when someone's like, hey, I want to try it, I may not like it, then yeah, I'm like, hey, try KastKing. Even when I'll slowly convert people to start using a left-handed, and so there's a lot of times this year where I'm like, dude, it's only this price. If you don't like it, I'll buy it from you, but for this price,
Right.
try to use the lefty,
You're right, exactly. And that's one thing that hold on, hopefully that, all right, it's turned down. I was making sure I was clicking on one of the social media accounts just to make sure that it was running. But and to me, that's what that sold me on KastKing, was because I did buy the entry level, and it performed so well, and it so and in my mind was, well, if the entry level performed like this, then what's the next step level gonna be? And then I got it, and then I was like, well, what's the next step? And so it's just been phenomenal, and I really enjoy the product. It has I have caught a lot of fish, especially, and I still have, I think I probably have like 3 or 4 of the entry level reels and stuff that's
Nice.
on the boat right now, that I'm using. And because I want people, is it nice to go out and have a $200 reel? Yeah. And can you tell a difference? Of course, just like what you said. But when you're making content and stuff like that, you hit the nail on the head. Not everybody can go and spend $200. They might have $200 as a budget. They might only have $100, $150 budget. And so I want people to see that we're out here catching fish, and you don't have to go out and spend $400 or $500 on a reel just to go out and catch fish. And I tell people all the time, and I think I got it from you a couple classics ago, when you said that the fish don't know if you have a $40 reel and $100 combo or whatever in your hands, or if you've got $1,000 combo in your hands. The fish don't know. So what does it matter to you? I mean, you fit something that's going to get you out on the water more and be able to fit into your budget, and KastKing has it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hit it right there. Sometimes with fishermen, it's almost like you're buying that nice stuff just to impress other dudes. You know, what's up with
Right.
that? Just so other fishermen will go, oh, look at that, that's cool. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or for clout or something. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's not what it is. That's not what it's about. There's a connotation or there's a misconception that fishermen, you have to spend a lot of money, and that's the only way you're going to be taken serious. But that is. I mean, look at my buddy Brad J. Franklin. He's caught 2 or 3 double digits already this year on our Mega Jaws
Wow.
200, and that's a doggone graphite framed reel. Like that's
Right.
something you don't use. And he's using that 200 to throw big swim baits. Shout out to my boy Brad, but he's killing it. And he's fishing out of like a lower end kayak and no electronics, and he's just out there fishing it. So there's that misconception that you got to spend money. When it is, I'm like, come on, and then again, like I said, Wheeler winning 2 tournaments this year, to include Redcrest with KastKing reels. What can you say? So it doesn't matter. The fish don't care. The biggest thing is to get out there and fish. The ones that are always going, well, it costs too much. Oh, wham. It's like, man, stop. Just get out there and fish.
Well, I tell you, when I started and I was fishing a lot of tournaments and stuff, I would do every Thursday night. We would have, it was just a big fish tournament. So you just brought in your big fish, and I'm telling you, there was a dude that he would show up in a 12-foot flat bottom boat that had maybe like an 8 horsepower motor on it. It was a small little thing. It sounded like a weed eater going down the river. And so, but I couldn't tell you how many times, like, he was on it. He whooped me multiple times. And so, and that got me thinking, like, man, if this guy is going out and he's catching these fish doing on a flat bottom, why do I need to go and spend, not saying that, I mean, if you want to go spend $100,000 on a boat, by all means, and you can do it, I mean, but and so when I was looking for a brand new boat, and I ended up getting an aluminum boat because I didn't want to pay $100,000 for a boat. And so I have caught so many fish. And again, I mean, the fish don't know if you're in $100,000 boat or if you're in a $40,000 aluminum boat.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Or if you're in a couple $100 kayak.
kayak,
They don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. I mean,
I started kayak fishing.
and so, but I do want to get into the kayak, but not quite yet, brother.
All
Not
right.
quite yet. Um, so can you walk us through like some of the new reels and stuff like that KastKing has that like the angler should go and start check out? I mean, and at least give an opportunity to.
Yeah, the biggest, I'd say the biggest thing that separates KastKing from other companies is that we listen to our pros, we listen to our influencers, we listen to our consumers, right? So there's been a natural progression of our reels, starting off with, I want to say 2021, when we came out with the Kestrel Elite Bait Finesse. 4.4 ounces, world's lightest bait caster, throws down to 132nd, phenomenal reel, right? And people are
Yeah.
like, all right, that's cool. Can you make a traditional or conventional style reel? We came out with the MG12, magnesium frame, carbon fiber side plates, 4.7 ounces. And they're like, all right, great, but still, it's too small of a spool. So we came out with the MGTI last year. I did a video for you for that at iCast. Phenomenal reel, but again, 300 some odd dollars, 329, I think it was. Again,
Yeah.
a little bit out of the reach of your everyday angler. But what made that special was the titanium spool, titanium main shaft. And they're
Right.
like, how can we get this more accessible to the everyday fisherman? That's when we came out with the ALTI. So it's an aluminum frame, but still has that titanium spool and that titanium main shaft. We'll still throw down to 1/16. So it's one of the most versatile reels on the market, period. Still has the Halo Vortex braking system. The only things it does not have is the magnesium frame, does not have a carbon fiber handle, and does not have the oversized star drag. Still a decent sized star drag, but the ALTI. So you're going to get that titanium spool and the titanium main shaft. We're the first ever to have a titanium spool, titanium main shaft in a mass produced reel. A lot of companies say, "Oh yeah, we have that too." I'm like, no, you don't. It's titanium colored, but it's
Yeah.
not actual titanium. This is legit titanium spool and titanium main shaft. And so titanium's hard to work with. That's why.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's ridiculous in the fishing industry. So a lot of people will say, "Well, why would you do that? What's the point of that?" And then there's other ones that say, "Well, everything that comes out every year is the same." Like, yeah, exactly. So what do you want here? Do you want us to push the limits of what we can do and continue to advance? Or do you want things to just stay the same? So that's a big thing that KastKing does too, is where for $229 are you going to get a titanium spool, titanium main shaft reel, you know what I mean, with all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
It goes down to 1/16, and then you'll turn around and throw an ounce on the same reel. There's no other
No.
reel can do that.
No.
And so at that price point, it pushes other companies to start creating other stuff, start coming out with different things. We were the first ones to, besides Shimano, to come out with a digital reel. And then now there's other companies that are coming out with their own versions of the digital reel. So these are just things that KastKing has done, is continue to push. And so that it pushes the industry, because through competition breeds a better product.
Right.
Competition
Right.
breeds a better product, superior product. So that's what a lot of what we're doing. But the ALTI right now is really that if you want a Cadillac, you know what I mean, but you don't want to pay the Cadillac price, you know what I mean, then that's it right
Yeah.
here.
Oh, and the thing is when you told me that it could throw a 1/16 ounce, I think my face probably said more than because I was shocked. I was like, I know I looked at you like, you got to be crazy, because there's not a bait caster out there that would throw that. If I'm throwing some micro jigs or something like that, that you have to go to a spinning rod, and you're like, Colin, man, this is legit. I'm telling you. And and so that is actually my next reel. I'm
Nice.
going to be purchasing that, because I do throw we live in Chattanooga, and everybody, I guess, will know that. I mean, we fish Chickamauga and Nickajack a lot, and we throw a lot of micro jigs and stuff. We make our own, and so to be able to get that and to be able, because there's times that a bait caster is needed. If you're out in open water, a spinning rod is going to be just fine for you. But there's sometimes, like when you're around some structure and stuff, and you really need that backbone to be able to get that fish out of that structure, whatever it may be, you need to have a bait caster. So when you had told me that, I got excited because, again, we throw those 3/16, the 1/16 ounce jigs, swim jigs, the micro jigs and stuff like that. We throw them a lot. And so, but then to be able to go and cut that off and tie on, or go to Florida or whatever, or go to some grass and start punching some grass with the same rod and reel, not having to change nothing out besides what you are, just besides the bait that you're doing, is phenomenal.
Oh yeah. So with bait finesse, that's really how I got it started, throwing the micro stuff with the bait caster. It was funny when that first kind of started to get a little popular. KastKing had asked me, they said, "Hey, what do you think about bait finesse?" And I was like, "I think it's dumb." I was like, "Just use a spinning rod." And they said, "Well, you better learn because we're coming out with bait finesse reels." And I said, "Okay." But now that I do it, it's just like you said, you have the speed, power, and accuracy of a bait caster. And I'm not saying that people can't cast accurately or do this, but roll casting, side casting, that's very difficult, for at least for me, using a spinning setup, and then it's setting the hook, doing all that. Like I said, even the speed, because most spinning rods are just the 6-1 is the absolute fastest that you're going to get out of them. And so speed, power, and accuracy of a bait caster, but you're still able to throw that micro stuff. I mean, that's just, it's ridiculous. And it's addicting once you actually get it down.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And because especially like right now, the for here, and I imagine for you as well, that the spawn is pretty much over. And so they're feeding up, and they're wanting to have something that is a little faster. So to have that reel to where the reel's doing the work for you, instead of you having to kind of crank it faster, you're able to kind of have that same smooth presentation with that reel is definitely a game changer. And then it's going to be able to, if you're out there casting and burning it back because you need that speed to come to be a little higher up because they're hitting the faster baits, then you are able to go out and fish longer and enjoy your time out on the water because you got the correct equipment with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus, not everyone has a boat and has 30 rods inside their rod lockers, So if you're a bank beater, you're maybe not all kayak. I mean, some kayak guys do have 30 rods on their kayaks nowadays.
Seems like it.
If you're only going to bring, like me, I bring out maximum 3 rods and reels. So that's perfect. Like I have everything covered that I need with just those 3 combos when I'm out there on the water. And then if I'm out beating the bank, I'll just take 2, sometimes even 1. And I'm able to go tiny swim baits, pre-rigged swim baits that you buy from Walmart, all the way up to throwing full-size jig spinner baits, all with the same rod and reel.
Heck yeah. And that's what it's all about, is because somebody could spend a little bit more on a rod and reel combo or whatever if they're able to make it make sense in their head, to be like, well, I can go and throw. I could take this one rod and I could take care of everything that I'm going to throw, to where they could take 1 to 2 rods out with them.
Yeah, because it's hard to justify for a lot of people sometimes. I'm gonna spend $500-600 on a frogging setup, and if you only live in a place to where you're only gonna throw a frog a few months out of the year, it's hard to justify that. You know, so having stuff that's more versatile, it's easier to use. I mean, of course, yeah, that just makes more sense.
So what rod are you throwing that on?
So our top of the line rods are the Asagi rods. Those are the white ones, right? IM9 blank,
Yeah.
Fuji guys, Fuji real seats. But the one rod that I use quite a bit is going to surprise a lot of people. It's the Royal Legend Pro. So it's that nice, pretty purple color.
Purple one, yeah.
Yeah, it's an IM7 graphite blank. It's got our version of these grips right here, these shark skin grips, skeletonized real seat. And this is actually our patented real seat because you see at the top here how it's got this hook. So it's got the real keep integrated into the real seat. Fuji guides. And I know a lot of people are going to say, no, I would never use that rod because it's a two-piece. And I get it. But this is our power transitioning system. So as you see, there's a little bit of space here, and that space is supposed to be there. Also, a real quick tip. I bet y'all, if y'all are using multi-piece rods, are doing it wrong because you're just slamming it on there. You're actually supposed to put it on where it's a little snug and then slowly turn and rotate it to get it the snuggest. Do you know why you would do that? Because if you're just going back and forth straight the entire time, you're making micro abrasions. So, you know, sometimes be like, oh, I cast it and the tip just flew off. So
yeah. That's what I was about to say. I've had that.
Yeah. So you do that and then see the tips do not completely touch. This is the power transitioning system. It's not supposed to touch. Think of fly rods. Those things are like 9 foot tall. You want to talk about sensitivity? A lot of people say, well, multi-piece rods lose sensitivity. You don't see those fly fishing guys talk about that. Because this power transitioning system is like this, where the spigots don't touch. There's a little bit of space. But yeah, you do that, you twist it. If 99% of the time when I give this to people, they don't know it's a two-piece rod unless I tell them. I want to say 100% of the time. If I don't tell them or they don't know, you'll never guess that it's a two-piece rod.
Well, and I didn't know. I didn't realize that it was. And I can't remember where we were at, but I got to put one in my hands and I was looking at it, and you had told me that it was a two-piece, and I was like, no, and you just went bloop and pulled it apart, and you're like, see, and it is. But you know that the real that comes, or that you can get with that, is a phenomenal reel in itself as well.
Yeah, like $85 or something like that.
Yeah, and I had the opportunity to be able to use one, or to actually use that whole combo, and down in Florida, and I was very impressed with how it was. And so, but y'all have hit a number on that one, I think.
Yeah, it's a super small reel, graphite body, but it's got a dual automag braking system. It's an 8-to-1, and at $90, yeah, it's hard to beat for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also want to talk real quick about the KastKing line.
Mm-hmm.
The KastKing line, I had gotten some. I don't know, the first time. I guess it was maybe 2 years ago at the Classic. KastKing, for the media, they had they always give us something that has like different baits and stuff like that in it. Well, KastKing had put the line. There was some line in there, and I tell you, I had fallen in love with that line. It is by far some of the best. The diameter of that line to the strength of the line is by far, it is phenomenal to me, to how y'all are able to get the line as thin as what it is, to be able to pull in big old fish that, I mean, I have caught, especially on Chickamauga and stuff.
Oh, our line development specialist, he is he'll never say this, but Rex, he's the reason we use braid. Like, not just me, KastKing, he's the reason fishermen use braid. He brought it commercially to bass fishing. That is his so that is his legacy. And he's the guy through Tough Line, Western Filament, when he retired, sold all that off. The reason why he came to KastKing is because we gave him the flexibility to create whatever he wanted.
Right.
So our tripolymer is super thin. It's mono, but is it really mono? Because it doesn't stretch like mono. It's not thick. It's super thin. And it's
Right.
all that I use. I don't even use fluorocarbon. I just use straight tripolymer, which he designed through a Tri-Head Excursion. That's also our line that's uh, endorsed by Bill Dance. That and our
Right.
hammer braid. But yeah, what I
Yeah.
love about it is how thin it is. So since it's so thin, I mean, I'll run 15, 17 pound because it's the same thickness of 12 or 15. So why
Right.
not run
Right.
17 when it's the thickness of 12 pound?
Oh
Why
yeah.
not have a little bit of that, especially when you're fishing, especially this time of year, where you're going to be going around that cover and taking that
Right.
heavy grass and all that.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's uh try polymer, man. It is phenomenal. In which we had we had old Bill on for our Christmas episode,
That's
and
awesome.
KastKing sponsored it, and uh KastKing guys had sent us we done a giveaway for it. KastKing has sent us a bag, and I'm telling you,
Mm-hmm.
and the bag, when it came in, it was in a little box that was like maybe this big, and how it was all folded up, it was I was like, what in the world is this? And I pull it up, and the bag was phenomenal. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I was able to, y'all sent like, I think 4 trays with it, and then some line.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to put those 4 trays into that bag to kind of keep everything together. And when I went to give it to the guy that won, and he was like, I thought it came with some trays and stuff, and the bag looked like it was empty
Uh-huh.
because just how much space. I mean, you wouldn't have thought that it had as much space to be able to put. And I said they're in the bag. The line's in the bag. Everything's in the bag. And so he he sent me a picture. I think that he ended up putting, I think, like 7, was able to put 7 trays in
Oh
that
yeah,
bag.
you could put more trays for sure in there.
And he was like, man, and the pockets that this thing has on it is phenomenal. So, and he sent me a picture of his little boy. They went and done some bank fishing, and his little boy was carrying the bag on his back, and so it was a pretty cool little deal to see that as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, their bags are great. I mean, even at MLF Red Crest, all media members got a bag, that was
yeah,
crammed full of stuff. So our bags and accessories, that's really a key place where a lot of people start utilizing KastKing. They're like, oh, I used your bags and your trays and this and that. And they're like, it was awesome. So
yeah.
yeah, we have a little bit of everything for sure.
Well, and another thing, and I know I don't want it to kind of sound like an infomercial for KastKing, but another thing that I bought last year is, I mean, because I wear glasses, and sometimes I forget to bring my polarized sunglasses. And KastKing, I had actually, and I've got another pair right over there, but I bought a pair, then I went and bought 2 more pairs of the
Yeah,
sunglasses that they have that are,
they're phenomenal.
if they are phenomenal. And if you didn't know that I wore glasses or anything like that, you would not realize. I mean, they're just as sporty as any other kind of sunglasses out there as well.
No, and they're polarized and they're like $30, and they do the Gorilla Mid design. Look, this is live.
Yeah,
I'm penning the crap out of these. For $30, you're not going to find a better deal. And I wear prescriptions also, but I still have these like in the cars because if I forget my glasses or something, and my eyes.
right.
But yeah, look, $30 pair of polarized glasses. You know what I mean? You're not
Yeah,
gonna.
you're not going to beat it.
Nah,
So,
no, not at all.
but I want to kind of go away from KastKing, and if I have any more questions or anybody puts on there any questions about it, I will ask. But you've been doing a series for what, the past year and a half or so, about a kayak setup and stuff like that, and how you've set up a kayak. Can you go about like your process of what you're trying to do for kayak. And I mean, because your series and stuff like that, you have actually, I mean, you kind of put the same motto as like what you do with KastKing and stuff. Um, with trying to you're just trying to get people, you're showing people how to get out there and what they can
Mm-hmm.
put on there. But you also looking at it as, again, like I I want people to be out there fishing, and you don't have to have the most expensive units on there. You don't have to have that uh the Garmin forward facing sonar or whatever. There's other options and stuff that you could do, and how you set up your kayak. I've really enjoyed the process. So can you kind of talk about the process of what you've done with your kayak?
Yeah, so I wanted a kayak that is modular in the way that I can add to and take away as needed. You know, nothing
Right.
against the big, gigantic kayaks. Phenomenal. I love it. But the types of water that I fish are normally your smaller bodies of water, your streams, your rivers, your smaller city lakes. Again, and it's just when you fish those big waters like Texoma or Grand Lake or something like that, that's just a lot of water, a lot of things to cover.
Yeah.
I'm more or less, you know, when you're driving down the highway and you look at that lake and you're like, I bet that lake sucks. Like it's right there. We don't keep driving past them because I'm the one in the kayak hitting those things up. So I wanted to be able to, like I said, if I'm going on a larger lake, okay, I could add my electronics to it. I could put my bigger batteries, my motor, I could do all that. But if I just wanted to grab it in one of these tons of farm ponds that are out here that are good, decent size, you know, that you could put
Yeah.
a couple kayaks on. And if I'm just going to fish one of those, then hey, I could just throw it in the back of the truck and then go fish with it. But at the same time, as being a creator, I got to have my phone charging, cameras running, having all of that charged. So that's kind of what I did with it. And I started with it's not necessarily super affordable, but it's definitely still affordable with the Crescent Shoaly. And the reason why I got that is because
Right.
KastKing, we do have Drew Gregory signed, and Drew Gregory is a madman. He's crazy. He's crazy in a good way. And so he
Good.
designed this thing exactly the way he fishes, which is crazy, shallow water. I mean, nasty. I think it's always been said that the Shoaly's favorite color is mud, you know, and here fishing in Oklahoma, it's that red dirt, nasty stained water. And so, yeah, I'm backed up in the crazy places. I'm going to places that they say, hey, yeah, boats don't go back here. I'm like, yeah, there's a reason, and that's why I do that. But at the same time, like I said, I want that flexibility because for me to get up to some of those type places, I got to get there. So I went with the motor. I went with the Bixby system simply because it's easier to put on. It's easy to get out there. I don't have to have a bow mounted, you know, $3,000 trolling motor with spot lock. Now, with the wind
Right.
in Oklahoma, don't get me wrong, I'd like to have, especially this past weekend, spot lock would have been a lifesaver. But you know, you don't need all of that stuff. If you want to
No.
you want to just get out there and fish, and that's kind of the way. You know, I'm lucky enough, I'm blessed to be that I could have went all out. I could have, but that doesn't
Yeah.
fit the style that I fish. That doesn't fit I guess the way that I was looking at it, because I'm looking at it, I can just throw and go.
Right.
Is you get a big yak, tons of this, you know, multiple batteries, this, that, this, and the other. You're gonna need a trailer, right? Like it's not something where I could just throw in the back and then, you know, push right off the back of my truck and then just throw it in the water and just start fishing like I'm crazy, you know.
Right.
I just wanted something simple, easy. Now, will my next build be a little bit more extravagant? Yeah, probably, but I'm not at that point yet. I like what I'm doing right now with this Crescent Shoaly and where it gets me and the style of fishing that I like to do.
Yeah. Now, and like, I don't, in Oklahoma, do they have, I know, like, excuse me, some, like, we're in Chattanooga, so I mean, we're just a hop skipping away from Georgia. And so Georgia has a lot of like mountain lakes and stuff like that. But with some of them mountain lakes, like you cannot put, you cannot, it's a trolling motor only lake. So you cannot crank up your big motor and stuff like that. So a lot of that, you will not see there. There's one that I go to quite a bit, and I have caught. I mean, the biggest 3 fish bag that I've ever caught was 22 pounds,
Dang.
and it and that's with losing a double digit.
Mm.
And I won't go into how I done that. But thanks to my dad. So, but but is there any does like Oklahoma have stuff like that to where like you said, like you kind of just driving down the road and you see like this little lake or little pond or something like that? Is there a lot of that stuff there in Oklahoma?
I don't want to say there's a lot, but there is quite a few. I mean, even the lake that's 5 minutes from my house is a no wake lake, electric motor only. So
Right,
and it doesn't even have a bass. It doesn't have a bass. Doesn't even have a boat ramp. So there's no
right,
way to even get. And there's another big lake that a lot of people hit up, and if you don't have a light kayak, there's no way you're going to get it down that steep ridge to even get it into the water because their hoisting system doesn't even work half the time. So
right.
it's yes, there's tons of different places. You have to go out and find them. You have to know it. You have to know somebody, or be with the locals because they're just such hidden gems. But there's plenty of them,
Yeah.
plenty.
And the thing is, I mean, and it's crazy to like people think when they think of big bass, they'll think of 3 states. They'll think of Florida, Texas, and California.
Hmm.
And but they don't realize. Well, I mean, not that I don't think that they don't realize, but Oklahoma kind of gets shunned on that because I know quite a few people that has fished in Oklahoma that has their PB has come from Oklahoma, and
Yeah.
so
Oklahoma is a hidden gem simply because for a long time there was an F1 program. The F1s are your Florida strains.
right,
Of course, Oklahoma can have harsh winters. So if you go too far north, those F1s are not there. You also have
right,
those tiger bass, and a bunch of those, I think even Kevin Van Dam, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, donated $100,000 into their tiger bass, putting those into Grand Lake. So we have the weather and the conditions to grow gigantic bass,
right,
and it is really, really slept on. You even see on Arbuckle, there's a lot of places in Arbuckle that there's huge glide bait fishing, huge baits, big
right.
fish being caught. There's also smallie fishing. Oklahoma is not known for its smallie fishing, but there's a couple places where you're going to catch crazy amount of smallies. So yeah, it is slept on, which is fine. You know, don't come fish here. I'm perfectly fine with that. It's also a different kind of fishing because a lot of it is dirty, nasty, stained,
Right,
yucky water, which a lot of people aren't comfortable fishing. At the reverse
right.
side, I'm uncomfortable fishing clear water. I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
Oh,
So
and I'm right there with you. I tell
that.
people that I was like, man, if it comes to because I'm a river rat. I
Oh
grew
yeah,
up
okay. Uh-huh.
fishing rivers, and then we moved to Chattanooga from Nashville, and then we got the Tennessee River, and so I'm used to current. I'm used to stained water, and you put me on like a highland reservoir to where you could see 80 feet. I'd rather just go and just beat my head into the concrete at the boat ramp because it's going to be a tough day for me.
Yeah. That's exactly how I am too. Deep, clear water. I'm like, sure. You know what I mean? I rather chuck and wind, docks and shallow water
Yeah.
and beat the banks. So yeah, I hear
So
you.
so how much uh like are the fish there like current driven? Because here on the Tennessee River and stuff like that, everything is like if you're going to have a good day, you're going to have current. If there is no current, the struggle bus is real. So are the fish there current driven as well?
It depends on the body of water, but for the most part, yes, you want to have a little bit of current. You want to have some wind. So I need to have a little bit of current, a little bit of wind for the
Yeah.
kind of fishing I do. Chatterbaits, underspins. a lot of moving baits, fishing shallow. Yeah, yeah. I like to have a lot of that, and then of course you see the channel swings. I like to sit off to where, right. Obviously, we know there's a stump. We know that current's flowing, and then the way I'm going to position my kayak is that's another thing too. Positioning, bait presentation. A lot of people don't think, and that's why
Yeah.
I have the kayak that I have too. I had a good friend that told me one day. He said, "Hey, back your kayak, put the stern of that kayak into the mud." And fish like that a little bit every once in a while when you're up these rivers and creeks. And I was like, well, that's the same as just me standing on the bank, right? Well, no, because you're going to be in an area that you can't walk up to and get to the bank. So I've been
Right.
doing a little bit of that, putting that stern of that kayak into that mud and then running that with the current, running that bait with the current. And then when it comes around that, I mean, I've been able to just whack on some good fish that are just
Yeah.
following that. And they're not, that presentation is the same as the bait fish running up with the current, and they're hiding
Right.
behind that structure and they're coming out and just smacking it. So
Yeah.
that's a different positioning. I dropped that little nugget in there because that's
Look,
not something a lot of people do
now,
or
oh,
understand.
we call that the Tennessee River positioning because
Uh-huh.
we do that. That is one thing that we do. If somebody has, you could tell if somebody has fished the Tennessee River or they're used to throwing on river systems and stuff because they will do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then you'll see them just wearing them out on it.
Mm-hmm.
Just and I don't. And I think what it is because they're so used to something coming. I really don't know with boats being out that maybe it's something like with the ledge or with a downfall or something like that. However, that they're used to seeing some baits coming, and then they see it coming from a different kind of an angle
Mm-hmm.
that they're like, "Oh, that's real." And so, that is definitely a nugget. Now, when we're throwing on a river system and stuff, and we're trying to, and we have current, this is what we do. We will throw out and like we'll reel it in, but we want that line to have a bow in it, right? Because what I have noticed and realized was when when I had it as just a straight line going out to the bait, like, and so as it's coming down, like down by you and stuff like that, that head is turning like this, so that bait's turning, and so when uh so you may be getting into the strike zone, but then that bait is turned maybe cockeyed a little bit. That's not natural,
Mm-hmm.
and so with having that little bow in it, it's allowing that bait to kind of come down farther down. Like it could come past you, and that the head of that bait is still going downstream. Do you do
Oh
something
yeah.
like that as well?
Yes, you're 100% correct because when I'm casting out there, like you said, well, so it's almost it's like a pendulum effect. So if that line is
Right,
straight, it's going to swing back towards you. So the head of that bait
right,
is going to come back to you. When you have a little bit of slack line and you're slow rolling, you're not going super fast. You're keeping a little bit of slack line in it as it's coming in. Yes, it's going to be a much more natural presentation, and like you said, it's also going to hit in the strike zone. A lot you have to cut the water into thirds. Your top, your
right.
middle, and then your bottom. You can't just keep if I'm just chucking a wine in at one speed and doing one way, that it might just be up here. The fish might only be hitting here, or they might be hitting down here. You know what I mean? So it's just finding that presentation and the positioning of your boat, positioning your bait. Because even when you're fishing like a point, there's fish on that point. It's
Oh
there,
yeah,
but just the
oh
way
yeah,
you're coming at it, they just don't want the bait from that. They want it coming from another angle.
yeah,
Especially like on those river systems when you have that deep bend, right? And you have a little bit of current, and you have that stale water. The way you're going to position and the way you're going to want that bait to come around that corner, you're going to want it to be natural, like that bait is coming around the corner, and so that fish that's just sitting there hanging out is going to want to hit it. So yeah.
yeah. Well, see, and there I was fishing a tournament, and I had pre-fished this area in which, and I had found there was this little flat that had a stump on. Well, it actually had three stumps. One of them was probably, I would say, maybe like 3 foot round, and it was the one that was holding fish.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I came across it by accident of how I positioned my boat. And I I was throwing it, and every time that I was throwing a shaky head, but every time that I would come and like I had the bank to my back, and I was throwing out and swinging it across and having it come down to that. I mean, I was catching. I mean, I was catching quality fish, and then like the next day, I had pulled up and I was like, all right, I just want to see if these fish are still here, if it was just kind of a one-off deal. And I positioned the boat to where now the bank is to my face and I'm throwing at
Mm-hmm.
this stump. And I could not get those fish to bite for nothing. Then I moved to where I was at and then done the exact same thing. And I caught 3 fish, first 3 casts. And so then I was like, all right, I'm going to hold off these fish. I have 2 days until these. And I said, just as long as they're there, I know how to position the boat and get to these fish.
Absolutely.
Well, so I was telling my buddy that I was fishing with, I said, man, I found this point. We're going to go. I said, I guarantee the first 30, 45 minutes, we're going to catch a limit. And so, and I was telling him, and I was pulling up to it, and there was another boat sitting on the place that I was wanting to fish, but he was fishing towards the bank, towards that they were facing the bank.
Yeah.
And so I told him, I said, as soon as he moves out, we're going to move right on in. And I said, we're going to catch a 30, 45 minutes. We will catch our limit. And so, and he's like, man, these guys are they're going to wear the hole out. And I'm like, nah, they'll be all right. So we pull in there. In like 20 minutes, we had our limit of 5 in the boat. And he said, and he didn't realize where exactly like what I done. I told him, I said, man, I found out it was how the boat was positioned on that. We were able, and that's how they were wanting that bait to come through.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to, I mean, we came in second that tournament, but I mean, it was still a fun tournament to be an hour into it, and we already had a limit. So now we're just swinging for the fences. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I do the same thing when I'm coming in and out of a cove. Like, yeah, I already cast it at that, but like they may want it from a different angle.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's learning to buy them.
So, do you like throwing like any kind of like deep crankbaits and stuff like that?
No, I am not a deep crankbait guy. Crankbait fishing, period, is not really one of my strong points. You know, right. I'm a plastic swim bait fisherman. Like I'm big time on that, from 1/4 ounce all the way up to 1/2 ounce. Under spins, maybe they're pre-rigged, maybe they're paddle tails. That's a lot of the fishing that I do.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just that, and of course, you know, the regular Texas rigging, flipping and pitching too. But as far as crankbaits, that is not something that is my strong point. I can do it if I need to. If we're fishing ledges and I need to go deep cranking, then you know that.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm on a boat and that's what my boater wants to do, all right, let's go do it then. But yeah.
So, but the thing is, I mean, when people ask, like, I'm wanting to get into bass fishing, never bass fished. I want to get into it. What baits do I need to throw? Or what baits do I need to go get and stuff like that? And I tell them it's simple. You know, I mean, you go out, you Texas rig, and you can go catch fish all year round on a Texas rig, just dragging the worm, play around with it. And yeah, I mean, a Texas rig Cinco is massive. I mean, I caught my PB was off of a Cinco, was 1134.
Oh wow!
And so when people say like it's just a straight worm, and I'm like, but it catches fish,
and it's won more money than any other lure out there, and that's worldwide.
World, yeah.
That's not
Well,
it only works in Florida, only works in Texas. No, that's worldwide.
no, you could take a Cinco. You could go with a what is it, a green pumpkin or a watermelon or a black and blue or just a black Cinco. Those are the only ones you need to go. And I tell people, I said, Bass Pro has millions of colors of Cincos for a reason. I said, but if you're wanting to really go out there and catch, you just need a black, a green pumpkin, and a watermelon. Those three colors right there, you can go anywhere in the country, pretty much in the world, and go catch fish and not even have to worry about, am I going to go catch some fish? You're going to catch fish. And so did you, talking about Cincos, we had Roland Martin on, and we were talking about Cincos, and he told us that when Yamamoto came out with the Cincos, they gave him some packs, and they said, we want you to go film fishing with this thing. And he told them that was the dumbest thing when they first came out. That was the dumbest bait. Their fish are not going to come out, and they're not going to bite that bait. You're not going to catch fish on this. He said it looks like a pencil. And so, and he told me, he says, boy, was I wrong. He says, how many millions of dollars has people made off of just Cincos?
It's ridiculous. And the funny thing is that when Gary Yamamoto created it, I've been lucky enough to actually have a conversation with them, talk with them. It was made to be moved, to jerk, and just be a moving bait. And then someone figured out, no, just cast it down, just leave it alone. Yeah. Just leave it alone. Let it drop. Let it shimmy. And they figured that out, and they're like, wow, okay, here we go.
Yep. So, well, I've had you on for an hour, and I do not want to have you on and not talk about your Warriors for Freedom. Can you talk to us a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people don't know. They just know me as the content creator, Bait and Boujee. They know me as working full-time for KastKing, but I'm also the executive director of Warriors for Freedom. And Warriors for Freedom, we started off a lot of the cool stuff, the hunting, the fishing, the golf, scuba, which is great, but we thought, were we really moving the needle as far as fighting isolation and ending veteran suicide?
Right.
And the answer was no. The answer was no. So over the past couple of years, we've really shifted towards community engagement. Our biggest program right now is ride services.
Yep.
Just last week, we did 7 ride services. Veterans that did not have a car, they weren't able to get to their appointments. One of them, we never do ride services on Friday, but I had a call from a 71-year-old veteran. She asked, I just need a ride to the food pantry. I already got an appointment with them. This is the time I need to be there. What am I supposed to say no to that? Picked her up, took her, did all that. We also have a thrift store. That's our second biggest program, Purposeful Thrift. And through that thrift store, we're able to pay our rent. We were able to hire 2 more veterans, give them second chances in rebuilding their lives. And veterans always get 50% off at our thrift store. And that covers our rent. That covers all of our overhead costs, so that if you donate $20, it's going to go to veteran programming and not overhead cost. Through also, we also have food insecurity programs. 47% of Oklahomans face some sort of food insecurity, with 15 to 20% of those being veterans. And so, like that Friday one, that's 2 programs we were able to cover. Gave her a ride and also helped her get food. So we can get you blessing boxes, but if you want perishable items, obviously you're going to have to get from a food pantry that specializes in that. So we're able to take her to the food pantry, get all that. We have Warrior Breakfast. So second Saturday of every month, we pay for veterans to go get breakfast. They could bring their family members. They could bring everything. We also do Fishing for Freedom, which is in October of every month. We take 50 veterans, pair them with 50 boaters, and we pay for lodging, food, everything. We have a veterans bass fishing tournament on Eufaula, Oklahoma, on Lake Eufaula. So that's just a little bit of what we do. We try to do a little bit of other stuff. On the 27th, we're actually going to be at Dave & Buster's. We're taking 10 veterans plus a guest, or 20 people total. We're going to just have a night of game of fellowship, hanging out, playing some games, eating some food.
Yep.
and the way, and we like to be self-sufficient. The ways we do that is, like I said, our thrift store. We have our own beer through Coop Ale Works here in Oklahoma called the Warriors American Ale. And we also have our own coffee. So
Yep.
that coffee American brew is what I drink every day. You know what I mean? That's what I
Yeah.
have in the morning.
Well, and I'm glad that you brought the coffee up and stuff, because here we redone our, in which you already know this, but for people that don't know, like, we redone our whole website. It totally looks different. It has changed. We've got the shop going, and so we're finishing it up. I was hoping that it was going to be done to where I can kind of tell everybody on the episode today that, hey, we've got it done. It's ready to rock and roll. But one of the items that's going to be on our shop is the coffee for Warriors for Freedom. So we're going to, we're going to promote and stuff like that for it, because it's a good cause, and people don't, they take it for granted, the freedom that we have, and just because, we're fortunate enough to live in a country to where, you can dream big and do big. But just like what's this weekend and stuff like that, all they think about is going to the lake,
fishing,
the barbecue and stuff like that, and hanging out with friends and stuff. But I urge that you take a minute and just think of what it cost for that to happen. For you to be able to go and enjoy times with the family, the barbecues, the fishing, hanging out on the boats and stuff like that. Just take a minute and think of what it costs. Because there's a lot of white crosses all across the world that has United States military people's name on it, that it costs for them, for us, what it costs for us to be able to have the freedom that we have. So
absolutely.
we're honored to be able to team up with you on that aspect and stuff, and we're excited to see people send us some pictures and stuff with them buying the coffee as well. So
that's going to be legit. And it's $22. The reason why it's $22 is to pay homage to the 22 veterans that commit suicide every single day. But the biggest thing I like to tell people is, if you really want to pay homage to those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for your freedoms, just be an American worth dying for. Live every day as an American worth dying for. That's the biggest, best thing that you can do.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Jose, man, we thank you for your service and stuff as well. And I hate that. And I know Pappy's over there kicking his rear end at his house, and because he really wanted to. This was an episode that he was really looking forward to, and so. But man, we thank you so much. But we do have one last question that I do want to ask, and we've already asked you when you've been on here before. It can be the same answer or not, but if you could go out fishing for one day and have one person on the boat or in the kayak next to you, who would that person be, and why would you want them? And they could be with us or not. Who would that be, and why would you want them out fishing with you?
It's still going to be the same answer as last time. It's going to be my father, which I want to say happy heavenly birthday to you, Father. Today's his birthday. So, it worked out. He taught me everything I knew. It's cliche to say that you have a fishing rod in your hand before you can crawl or walk. I did. And back then, I'm sure, Colin, I know, we didn't have this fancy Superman, Spider-Man rods and reels. All you had was a Snoopy Zebco, brown and white ones.
Yeah.
And that's what you got. And that's what I had. And that's what I used. And, I still, there's pictures of me fishing in the bathtub with it, with that Snoopy setup. So to be with my dad and one more time to go fishing with them, man, that would be I would love that, because to be a young kid going to like the shows, fishing shows, talking fishing, meeting guys on TV, and then now I'm working side by side with them.
Yeah.
Like just to be like, hey, Dad, I'm living it. I'm doing it. I'm here with Bill Dance. I'm hanging out with Bill Dance. I'm fishing all this other stuff. I'm at these shows. I'm going to the West Coast. I got to go to the West Coast again and work for fishing at the end of June. See guys on TV, Skeet Reese, and I'm at Skeet Reese's house eating a steak. You know what I mean? Like, dang, I wish my father could see all that. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you ever think, and this is off the question you brought up, Bill, did you ever think that you was going to call Bill Dance Uncle Bill?
Uncle Bill?
I mean, because that's every time that most people would just say Bill Dance or Bill and stuff like that, but you have a very unique relationship with him. It's something that I every time that I see you and stuff like that, and like when I see Bill around, you're like, you were actually the first person. What was it? 5 years ago, like I had met Bill Dance like when I was 11, 12 years old, out at Old Hickory Lake in Nashville. And but I never thought that I was going to be able to like see him again, or anything like that. And I came up to you and we were just talking and stuff. I think it was at ICAST, and you're like, have you met Uncle Bill? And I was like, who's Uncle Bill? And so, and you walked over, we walked over there to him, and you introduced me to him, and you're like, Colin, here's Uncle Bill. And I'm like, no, this is Bill Dance.
Oh, it's I got that from his manager. His manager is actually his niece. And so she always refers to him as Uncle Bill, Uncle Billy. And in my culture, growing up, you called people your uncle that are older than you. You called them all uncle, auntie, just out of respect, right?
Right.
So when she called him Uncle Bill, I got accustomed to calling him Uncle Bill. So now when I see him, it's just, hey, Uncle Bill. I mean, it's just we've kind of built up that rapport. I've got his autographed hat sitting up here in my display case.
That's like, I don't know if you can see the picture. It's right over there. It's in the center. Is actually the classic in Fort Worth.
Oh wow!
My media badge. It's got Hank Parker.
Okay, I see it.
Bill Dance and Jimmy Houston's autograph on it. So, but
it's awesome to be like and I don't take that lightly, and I know you don't either. To sit there and to hang out with these people that would just do anything just to get 30 seconds of their time. So I don't take it lightly, nor do I don't take it for granted that I'm sitting here hanging out with these people. I tell the story once in a while, but like these guys were sitting there, and it was like the crescendo of their whole trip is that they got to meet this one person. They're talking about, and they're next to me, and I was listening. I was hiding. You already know I have to hide to eat my lunch because I just get, So I'm sitting there and I'm listening to these guys talk, and I'm like, that's the highlight of their whole trip. And I've been hanging out with these dudes the whole time, eating dinner with them, breaking bread with them, drinking with them, hanging out. Like, dang.
Well, see, and that's like, and because like, we're fortunate enough with stuff doing the media that we know a lot of people, and over the years, like the friendships and stuff that you form is phenomenal. And one of the best friendships, and I tell people all the time that he's like a fishing mentor. If I have anything fishing wise that like I need to kind of talk about or what's going on and stuff, I know that I can holler at him. And Jerry Brousseau, in which he's team tournament partners with Roland and stuff like that. And so we've been at ICAST, and Jerry has asked me to come eat with him. Well, then the next thing I know, there's a posse that comes around, and there's 25, 30 of us eating at this restaurant, and we've eaten with Bill and Jimmy, and I mean, and there's just a bunch of other people that has just joined in, and I'm like just sitting there and just kind of memorize, or just like how in the world,
how did I get here?
These are people that I grew up watching, and now I'm sharing a table with them and dinner, and it is just so awesome. But with that being said, is there any other community that gives just the average person, I mean, not with us saying, because we do all the media and social media stuff like that, we get opportunities that a lot of people do not. But is there any other community that allows their fans to be able to get as close to the professionals as what fishing is?
No, I don't see anyone just walking up and shaking hands with Tom Brady or something like that. You know what I mean?
No.
Michael Jordan. But at the same time, I'm not bragging again, but how many times have I got to talk to KVD and shake his hand and shoot the crap with him? Like that doesn't happen. No. And he's our GOAT. So, or to have a laugh with Rick Clunn, because the stupid videos that I post, and he actually watches it, so
right.
No, it's not, and I know a lot of times, I know you get this question too. Yeah, we are blessed to be media and get access to these guys. But anyone out there watching that says, hey, I want to do that too. It's a lot of work. You got to put in a lot of work. So I just want to tell people that we're blessed to be in the situations we're in, but it's a lot of work.
Right. And if you're willing to put the work in, you can be doing the exact same thing that we're doing.
You be better than me, be bigger than me, have more followers, make more money. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I want to. That's like people are like, I want to be like you. I'm like, no, don't be like me. Be better than me.
That's what it's all about. Man, brother, I can't wait till July, and maybe we can. I know you're going to be busy at ICAST and stuff, but maybe we can grab lunch or something like that together, or something like that. Down in Orlando.
You just shoot me a message and Del already knows, get to work.
Yeah.
We have to just carve out a time. So once we get the scheduling out, shoot me a message on what time we need a sec, because I am booked up.
Oh yeah.
All day, every day at ICAST.
Let's see who's on deck. Actually, if that's for who's coming up next, if Josh is asking who's coming up next, we actually have an angler from Hawaii, Maddie Wong.
Oh, nice.
is coming on next week. So so we're going to talk a little bit about his experience in life coming in, from the difference in between fishing in Hawaii to fishing professionally. So, but yeah. But man, Jose, I appreciate it. And
no problem, brother.
I'm looking forward to seeing you here in about 2 months. And so it's going to be a blast, and look forward to the videos, guys. That's going to be coming out. And if you are not following Jose on his social media, I put all his links and stuff in the description. So I made it easy. So all you have to do is just go and click on it, follow, like, and send a message in one of his posts saying followed you from Deck Talk Podcast, and let him know that we appreciate what he's doing and everything, and for coming on. So, but brother, man, I deeply appreciate it, and you are the man.
Hey, thanks, brother. I appreciate you for having me on, man.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to get off here, and I'm going to go grab me something to eat. And so we will see you next week, and hopefully Pappy will get his computer stuff situated to where he can be on here with us. But Hope that you have a blessed one, and remember, God loves you as if you were the only person in this world to love. And we will see you next week, guys.